Welcome to NinonSpeaks. I'm your host, Ninon de Rosa, and my co-host is AJ Dean. Sit back and enjoy the show. Welcome to NinonSpeaks. I'm Ninon de Rosa, your host, and I have the incredible, wonderful AJ, who is my co-host. This is a show that we have. We get all sorts of talents on our show. It's obviously on the internet. It is worldwide, so everybody can see it and anybody can see it. And whoever would like to participate on the show and come on it and be a guest, you're more than welcome. Let me take this over to AJ as we seem to have a couple of surprises going on. And I think we're going to go right into some music and some action, and whatever's going on is going on. You go with it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ninon. And I just want to introduce our wonderful Legends show tonight. And we want to welcome two of our legends. We have Grant Philipo, who is a burlesque legend, performer, dancer, singer, stripper, model, actor, fashion icon, and CEO, creator of the Las Vegas Showgirl Museum. And he is an absolute icon and a legend, and he has beautiful gowns there at the Las Vegas Showgirl Museum.com. Check that out. It has a fun store, a great shop with masks and t-shirts you can buy. And we also have Georgette Dante.
Hey, Georgette.
Georgette Dante, who is a legend also in the burlesque industry. She's the woman of many talents and creator of GD Productions, and which is her independent film company. And Ninon, I think she has a special performance.
She does. We're going to see all sorts of, I don't know, we're going to have some tricks, some dancing, and then we're going to go over to the costumes and the cabaret side. Go for it, Georgette.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Georgette, for that amazing performance. And now we want to introduce the amazing legend himself, the man, and my friend, Grant Philipo. Hello, Grant. How are you?
How are you? How
I'm
are you,
so thrilled.
Ninon?
I'm absolutely amazing. All the better for seeing you and all these beautiful costumes you have behind you. It's just amazing. And you cease to amaze me of how you progress every day, every hour, and you never give up and you keep moving forward. So what's going on, Grant? Give us some updates.
Well, right this minute, they're going to show you a few other. You switched it back.
There you go.
It is showing you a few other things. This is the premiere appearance of the $1 Million Gown. I don't know if you see that dress that's revolving in the back on top of the piano, but you're the very first person that's been allowed to actually show it on air.
Can we have a close-up of it, do you think, Grant? Probably not. That's okay.
He wants a close-up of it. Oh, he can do it. He can do it.
I just want to give a shout out to the amazing professional behind the scenes, our tech support professional, Victor James. He's absolutely fabulous. He is a cameraman and in the film industry, and we just want to shout out and give recognition and acknowledgement to him. Thank you so much.
Incredibly good at it, but actually they're musicians, the fans of Jimmy Century, and they are 3-time Grammy nominated group, and they are absolutely phenomenal. If you ever get a chance to see them perform, they are well worth the trip wherever you have to go.
Well, I would love to see them on my show and give them some PR and give them some, you know, whatever we can give them. I'd love to do that.
I think they were on your show a couple of years ago.
They were a couple of years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
We're going to have them back again.
Well, and speaking of people that are on your show, someone that made sure that I let you know that she misses you is April March, the First Lady of Burlesque.
April.
My dear, dear close friend, who would be absolutely upset if I didn't mention her. And God knows I was going to mention her about every 2 minutes and drive you nuts. But I decided, no, I'll be nice. I'll behave.
Let's give her my love and thank her so much. And April March is definitely a legend. She's an absolute incredible woman. But I'm looking at all these women in burlesque, and there's so many of them were such icons. But April, I think, was one of the biggest ones out there.
No, she and Tempest, are the biggest ones that are still alive.
Yes.
And April, of course, was a true star, just as Tempest was.
I would just like to acknowledge Georgette coming back. Georgette, you look amazing. Your magic tricks were absolutely wonderful. And your dancing, I don't know, how do you do all this, Georgette? You're something else, I'll tell you.
I don't know. I love what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing. That's the main thing.
And it shows. Back to you, Grant. Grant, last time I saw you, you were opening up a museum in Vegas. Is that still happening, and how's that coming along?
Well, we weren't opening up a museum at that time. We were still are trying to get a public venue. There is a building that I've wanted for a couple of years that just recently opened up. Whether or not we get that building, it's a little complicated because the land that the building is on is owned by the county, and the building itself is separately owned by a different company. And they did try to auction it off, but because the county owned the land, they didn't get any interested parties. But I'm hoping and praying
no one will buy that way. The way it's situated, no one will buy it, because you got to do with Vegas, and I don't know how easy or how hard that is, but I do know, because I do real estate. I know that it's very, very hard to get through all the hoops and the loops and everything else. It's a pain, absolute pain.
Well, and Fred Domaney, who, you know, you and I were with him at the Pepper Mill, you know, he's working on that right now to see the possibilities of that opening up. Of course, we did, since the last time I saw you, it was just costing us so much money to have 4 warehouses with all of our collection there that we did get an enormous one, a very big storage facility that's fully air conditioned and climate controlled, and it moved everything that was in those units into that. So now everything, the sets from Jubilee and all the fabulous shows, Casino de Paris and what have you, all that stuff is being protected. Of course, it's still costing us money, but it actually ended up costing less.
All in one place. And so hopefully we're going to put all our prayers out there. Absolutely. Now, Georgette, I understand that you are putting together a movie. And through the grapevine, I heard that you and I are going to be the of this sport club, nightclub, burlesque club. I don't know what it is. And AJ is going to be the manager. Did I read right?
Yeah, you ready? You want to hear it? Are you ready?
I know what I'm doing.
Okay, it's going to be a movie about legends of burlesque, and Dusty Summers will be in it. Dusty's writing the story right now for it. Legends of Burlesque, which I'm also a legend. So is Dusty Summers. And you're going to be the owner of the club, and I'm going to be the owner of the club. We're going to own the nightclub. And AJ is going to be the manager. You there, hon?
Oh, that's going to be a laugh. You and I own one club. This is.
It's not. That's not. Wait a minute. That's not all of it, honey.
Oh.
We're going to be gangsters. You and I are going to be gangsters, and so is AJ. Should be the younger days.
I always wanted to be a gangster.
You're going to be a gangster, honey. That's why I put the hat on just now. The hat? I'm getting ready.
But go and get my hat. Where's my hat? I got to get.
Oh, we're going to look. First phase, we got JC. He was on your show a few days ago.
He was.
He designs clothes.
Yes, he does.
And I was at a meeting with him yesterday. We're going to start designing clothes for you, and also for myself, and also for AJ.
Well, I just want to say one thing. Can I say something? I only want to work with Grant Philipo.
Well, honey, I understand that, but Grant's got so much other going on. He really does. He's more, and AJ, CJ, he's new in the business, and he's got fresh ideas. It's going to be clothes more. His is more beautiful, elaborate, beautiful wardrobe and headdresses. These are big gangsters type situation. And I saw some of the designs. I'm very happy with CJ. And also we're going to work with JP Morgan.
Well, wait a second. Isn't Grant going to be in this movie? Grant has to be in the movie.
Well, if he wants to be the man gangster, we're always fighting with the man gangsters. That works just fine.
Dr. Grant, what do you think about this?
Do you want to be a gangster?
Well, we'll see what happens. You never know what the future is going to hold. But I wouldn't mind having, making costumes for AJ. I'm sure she'll look fabulous. I know she likes to wear costumes, so that works.
Listen,
and, Nina, and I offered you ages ago that, anytime you and, the lady that you brought with you want to start dressing up as a showgirl, you let me know.
Oh, I want Grant in the film. Ninon.
Well, Grant will be in the film then. I mean,
but nobody ever asked Grant.
Grant, I'm asking you now.
Maybe.
Grant.
We'll see what happens.
And Nina.
I'm calling upon you. You've got to invite Grant to this movie because he's such an icon. Because number one, his designs are incredible. Number two, he knows so much about this.
Yes, and we love Grant. He's a legend.
Jay, this is the movie I'm putting together, and right now I'm real happy with. If Grant wants to work, we'll talk later on that situation. But JP is going to be working with me. He also does hair.
JC, if I remember rightly, JC is very new in the business. He hasn't been in the business that long, has he?
No, that's the point. The point is he's going to be more energy. He has nothing slowing him down, and Grant's got so many things going on. But JC, he's new. He's young, he's got an attitude, and he listens real well. And the main thing, people have to listen to you when you're talking to them. And the other movie I'm going to be doing, and it's going to be about gay people. It's going to be called Body and Mind.
Body and Mind about
gay people, female impersonators. Because, a lot of times you get stuck with a man's body, but your mind is a woman's brain, or vice versa. And that's where, and I'm with Jim McCoy. Oh God, he's definitely he's gonna be the entertainment director for this particular movie. Like gay people called Body and Mind.
Rob, what do you think about this, Georgette, bringing this movie out about the gay community, which I think is long overdue, but we have had new movies out about it. We have talked about it. It's probably more in the open now than it's ever been, and it should be. What is your opinion, Grant?
What, of gay movies? I love them.
I want to say more detail because I don't know the correct word to bring out, but more, I think so people understand, as Georgette just said, we have a man's body, but we feel like a woman. We are a woman and feel like a man. So I don't know how any of that works, obviously, but I think for you, Grant, you would understand this a little more than certainly me.
Well, I have definitely had my moments of, dressing up and having a great time as the look of a woman. I know a lot of people that, are trans and have gone through the process, and some of them that go maybe halfway or whatever the situation is. It's a lot different. People think just because you're gay, which, surprise, I am, that I should know exactly what it's like for all of them. And the only way I know is through them telling me what it's like. And
experience, who you are. It's more.
Well, I think it's really important that the people that, if they are going to be involved with this, then they need to be people who have actually experienced it and have those feelings and have done all of that, because you can disrespect people's life so much by doing something uneducated, by just assuming that things are a certain way. And I think when you learn what their lives are like, and I've known so many people that have gone through complete sex changes. My lead showgirl ended up marrying a prince from India. And, nobody in a million years would ever have thought that she had ever been a man. And, in her mind and soul, she never was a man. And, fascinating, incredible performer. And there's been a lot of people in our industry that, either have complete sex changes or go, halfway there. And, it's something that's very important to them. But, gay men, that's not 100% part of it, because
it seems to me, I'm only talking on my side, it seems to be a very delicate subject to talk. Well, for me, it's been very delicate, because I would hate to say the wrong thing and put it the wrong way, because I'm very open with everything. I don't care colors, I don't care language, I don't care what sex anybody, it doesn't make any difference. I acknowledge all of them, and I think everybody plays a part in this world, or whatever part it is they play. And
right.
I think, and it doesn't really matter. Actually, it's nobody else's business, to be honest, but everybody.
Right.
Like Miranka, I just want to mention Miranka. We were talking earlier, right, Grant, about her wonderful life and her journey and how hard it was for her. Is that right?
Well, and the other thing that's amazing and great about her is there are many people that go through the process and live their lives as the opposite sex that they were born. And, some of them never, ever divulge that this is a part of their life. Marinka was fortunate enough that she, had come to terms with it and was proud of the fact that she, had gone through all of this. And I don't think, it's kind of like when people say, oh, gay is a choice. It is not a choice, and neither is somebody who, wants to change their birth sex. It's something that it happens. It's inside of you, and it has nothing to do with a choice. There is no choice. It'd be just like, saying to you beautiful women, oh, well, you should, go this way. You either feel it or you don't feel it. There's no, nobody tempting you is going to make it happen. It doesn't matter.
Georgette, you sort of opened this conversation up by talking about making a movie like this. So now you've listened to Grant, myself, and AJ. What do you feel about our opinions on what we are kind of talking about, especially Grant, because he understands this better than anybody?
No, Nina, I think I fully understand. I'll explain to you why. My stepfather, since I was 6 years old, he was gay. He was born gay, and he married my mother, which was very confusing for my mother, because he should have never told my mother So I lived with that my whole life, and my father being totally confused because his mind was completely different from what his body matched. But you know, he loved my mother, but he was a gay man. So I totally understand. So I have an understanding because I lived it. Plus I worked, you gotta realize I'm performing now 70 years since age 3.
Yes.
I worked in my days, the reason I told you I want to do movies about gangsters, because in my days, nightclubs were owned by gangsters.
Yes, they were.
And I also was involved with John Gotti for many, many years, John Gotti. So I see clubs were owned by gangsters. So when I was 12 years old performing, I started stripping when I was 12 years old in the carnival. My parents owned a traveling nightclub in the carnival, and our show seated 1,000 people. And how I got my strength and muscles from putting up Terradine carnival rides and driving semi trucks and driving tent stakes in the ground and working 18, 20 hours a day and going 2-3 days at a time with no sleep. So I've been born and raised I was born in Ringling Brothers. So my whole life's been around show people.
When you were 12 years old and you were stripping, did you understand what you were doing and why you were doing it?
I started performing at age 3.
Yeah, but
as a pretend midget with the makeup and the bleached blonde hair, sometimes black hair, and the washcloth with the boobies. So I worked as a pretend midget when I was 3 years old until 6 years old. So yes, I did understand because I started performing at age 3. And when I was 7, 8 years old, I was a geek in the carnival, biting chickens' heads off as a geek. In carnival, a geek means a wild girl from Africa crawling on her belly like a reptile. And they throw the chickens in there, and the snakes, when they died off, I had to be the one who played the geek. And I would actually take a razor blade and act like I was biting his head off, jump up and down like crazy, and throw things at the people, and a rope tied around my ankle. And in the carnival, our show, I was 12 years old, no hair in the cootie, no hair. Took eyebrow pencil, draw hair, so I can do a complete strip. But I stopped taking my clothes off when I was 19 years old. I didn't take my clothes off anymore because in the Ringling Brothers circus I was born in, I did acrobatics, fire breathing since I was 4 or 5 years old, fire tossers on a bra, and my booty. I twirl two fire tossers here and 2 back here, 4 fire tossers at one time. And the fire eating since I was 4 or 5 years old. So I've been playing growing up and working 18, 20 hours a day since I was 3 years old, and driving a semi truck since I was 10 years old. So yes, I do totally understand about the gay people and the gangsters and the burlesque people. And the other movie I'll be doing is going to be about abused and battered women. Abused and battered women.
The subject on its complete own, which to me right now in this day and age has gone completely berserk. It ever was. I just don't know how. I mean, I know that women also beat up men, but I think more men beat up women.
Oh, it definitely do.
Yeah. So that's something I'm so opposed of, because I had a children's show at one time and I knew a lot of what parents did with their children, and that was really sad. So I understand that whole arena, and it's just something that definitely needs to be brought out.
Well, Nina, luckily for me, because I was strong, you know, doing the hard work my whole life, just like the man, no man can keep up with his child growing up in the carnival. I didn't have to put up with nothing. So I was married one time for 4 weeks.
Oh, why so long?
Yeah, well, I'll explain why. He tried to stick, I was drawing pictures in a restaurant, which having something to eat. And we went back to the motel. He kicked the door in because he left the key at the motel out of the restaurant. Stupid stuff. Then took the pencil, tried to stick it in my throat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So the carnival people, you don't mess with carnival people. Don't give us no SH or be no IT. So I took the brass knuckles out of my pocketbook. Normally I don't carry a pocketbook because I was married. I normally be in my back pocket and blue jeans in the carnival and cowboy boots and a hat. And I put it on. I broke his nose, his back jaw, 4 ribs, and his ring finger. I want that ring off his finger.
I'm going to be nice to you, Georgette. I don't.
Oh no, we're fine. But see, the movie I'm going to be doing about legends of burlesque, and not legends. Excuse me. Back to the abused and battered women. I'm going to have a bunch of strong, healthy women, strong, and a lot maybe burlesque entertainers that will be playing the actress. And I'm also going to use a lot of homeless people for the movies as well. Homeless people, because a lot of people, they not just crazy in the head, they're getting crazy because they're living outdoors. But there's a lot of people who are able to do it. I'm gonna make sure they got work after they play the movie and the movies, and maybe whatever they're capable of doing, we're going to use them for that reason. And the abused and battered women, we're going to have a place underground in Las Vegas.
Well, they do. They live underground a lot.
Well, I know, but we're going to have the movie. We're going to take these men underground after we find out who they messed up with the woman. We're going to grab the guy, take him underground, and do him the exact way he did the woman. Teach him a lesson. Teach him how to be a better person. See, my mother used to beat us severely in the carnival. She had nerves are bad. You know, just spit in my face and choke me, just silly things. But working 2 days, 3 days, and no sleep, they took it on my brother and myself. She tried to apologize one time for the severe beatings, you know, the chokings and the spitting and just stupid things, but that's the way it was. My brother, she tried to apologize. My brother said to my mom, Mom, if you knew better, would you done different?
Yeah.
Well, that's the point. If people knew better, they would do different.
They would do different. Grant, let me go over to you. I'm going to put it this way. You're both actually in the entertainment business in one way or another. And both of you have kind of gone through very different roads, but also very, very much the same. When you listen, Grant, to Georgette's story, it's pretty rough and it's pretty, you know, I mean, how she was performing at 3 years old, you can barely talk or walk or whatever. What goes through your mind, Grant?
Well, we do have a lot of similarities between us because I produced circuses in Mexico, touring circuses. And, you know, there isn't, if anything, to me, her getting such an early start in show business, in that environment, because I know what the environment is like. Now, I didn't work carnivals, the carny system, but I did work circuses. And it is such a magical world to be there. When I did my first circus in 1993 in Mexico, I absolutely fell in love because it is a city within itself. All the people that are in there, their families, the children, the parents, the grandparents, they all live in that environment. They have very little to do with each city that they go to because they have their own little world. And for me, it was the most beautiful thing I ever saw, because although many of them, the peons, that's what they call them, had, you know, horrible situations where they would sleep in these metal boxes underneath of these enormous tractor trailer trucks with no cushions or anything. And, you know, I'm always the fatherly type or motherly type, depending on who it is. And, you know, we had Easter. Well, they didn't know how to celebrate it the way I did. We had a Easter egg hunt, and I had seen these poor people that worked so hard from morning to night, setting up the tent, tearing it down, moving from city to city. I mean, just unbelievable. And, you know, I was by myself. I didn't speak much Spanish. So I would always grab the animal trainers, the kids that worked for him, and the other people that were ushers and the people that sold all of the popcorn and things like that. And I would take them to Chinese restaurants and have, like, you know, 15, 20 of them. And they're like, oh, you're so generous. Well, of course, the money was phenomenal when you consider what the peso was worth when I was down there.
Oh, yeah.
For Easter, it was so neat because we would take these people from Argentina, people from Venezuela, all these Mexicans, you name it, all of these people that lived in this unique, beautiful world, and this gigantic circus tent. And we hid these plastic eggs everywhere. And I had gone to the United States side, to the border, and I bought all these enormous air mattresses. And, you know, because I just couldn't stand seeing them sleeping on a hard metal thing. So I definitely appreciate the world of carnival and circus because I was there. I know what it's like. I know how hard it can be and how even small things like taking a bath is next to impossible unless you have a hose. And, you know, that's not great. But of course, you have to look wonderful. And the other thing, I don't know if all places are this way, but in Mexico, it was so incredible because I'm telling you, Neon, these families that didn't have a lot of money, I don't know how their parents did it, but they must have had a cookie jar somewhere and they would save that money. And the night that they would go to see the circus, those kids of theirs, didn't matter how many they had, they were dressed in the finest gowns. It was like they were Cinderella for one night. And the little boys in their little suits. And they would take them and they would sit in these boards that were lashed on to a metal frame that you could fall through and break your ankle, you know. And they, for one night, would spend every bit of money they could on those kids so that they got everything they wanted. And they treated them like $1 million. And you could see the joy in the parents' faces that they were able to do that for these children that they were so proud of. And just working in that environment, all the times when I had to pay the hotel bill to get all the dancing girls from England and Russia out because they had taken their luggage and they wouldn't let them go because the promoter didn't pay for it. It was all worth it. It was all worth it just to be around that environment, around those people, to see that much love. And of course, I did it several other times, and every time it was the same thing. So being in that world is something that people should be envious of Georgette for. It may have been harder on her because none of the circuses I worked in did you have to bite the head off of a chicken or something like that. But the reality is, it was a wonderful environment.
Let me go over
just like shows.
Georgette, we're talking about circus and carnivals. What's the difference in a circus?
Circus or trapeze and elephants, and they're more of an entertainers. Carnival people were more. See, I was born in Ringling Brothers. From the time I was born until 6 years old, my mother married a carnival man. So I was raised in a carnival. I owned the show.
Yes.
I didn't just buy the chickens off. What it amounts to is when people don't show up someplace and you got 3 months to make your money.
Yes.
Someone doesn't show up, you jump in, you fill in the gap. We had a gentleman named Shadow. He was our geek. He was a wino. When he died, they pulled him to the back of the tent out in the woods. My mother threw a gunny sack over me to the cork, burned it, put cork all over me, tied a rope around my ankle, and then now I'm the wild girl from Africa. So you see, so what I'm asking is, true carnival people, no matter, you learn how to do everything. It's like I'm capable of doing almost anything because I was born and raised in it. And what I'm preparing to do now with David Williams and Elizabeth, the movie I did, the last movie I was in with Antonio, I played the grandmother of a famous opera singer. The day the virus hit, it was supposed to be released. Of course, it didn't get released. So Elizabeth she also played in a movie called Finding Godell. She played in the movie, but she also was assistant director. So what I'm doing now, I'm gonna start doing short films, like 6-7 minutes long. So I'm starting to get my people together, a crew, and get people organized. And then when I need $80 to $100 million to do it correct, I'm gonna start with commercials for television first, because commercials are fun. I love commercials because they're hip. It don't take as long to do them either. And I'm also gonna have a recording studio, and I'm also going to be making movies, but more movies for television and not so much for movies, because right now I think television is the way we need to go.
Now, Georgette, since we don't have very much time left, I'd like you to shout out, how can people reach you and how can they help you and how can they fund you? Make it as you can. Okay,
listen, you can find me Georgette Dante, Georgette Dante Hotmail.
Okay.
And my friend Elizabeth just set me up, and I have US Bank. And it's called Zelle, Z-E-L-L-E. Is that how you pronounce it? Zelle. And my birth name is Dale, D-A-L-E, Elaine Baker, B-A-K-E-R. And my phone number, 702-750-4866. So it'll help us, if people start helping us financially, to start putting money in my bank. We can start doing these short films and start getting people organized, where we can start doing movies like the movie with yourself as well, and AJ.
Let me now go over to Grant. Grant, we don't have much time, so let's get you. How can people reach you and help you with your project, with the museum and everything?
Well, the newest thing that's happened for us is we've been approved of by Amazon Smile. So anybody who ever buys anything at Amazon, if you want to help our nonprofit, which is the Society for the Preservation of Entertainment History, you can put us as your nonprofit, and they give, I believe it's 1% of whatever you purchase through Amazon. It will go into our nonprofit. And of course, you can go to LasVegasShowgirlMuseum.com or just showgirlmuseum.com, or go to Facebook and look us up there as well.
Okay.
And we are open again to the public, so we're by appointment only. So if
Okay.
you contact us and would like to see the collection, just
Give
give
you-
us a call.